stood hidden in the trees, a little ways from the graveyard. He could just about see your funeral. A few people, family members and friends were crying. They had the ceremony outside, see? He didn't know why. Maybe somebody requested it. He had no clue. It didn't matter anyway. It was a trivial thing. He put a hand on the tree. He watched as your guardian sobbed silently as he sat down on a small chair. A friend of yours gritted their teeth and squeezed their eyes shut, as if in pain. Another friend appeared to lean over them and hug them a little. A very futile way to try to take the horrible empty feeling away. He sighed. Physically, of course, as he had no mouth. This was his fault. All his fault. I mean, it wasn't like he hadn't caused funerals before. He caused many a child's funeral. He shouldn't care, to be honest. He shouldn't. You were human. You didn't matter. Human life didn't matter to him. Humans were just mice to him, and he was the cat. He'd play and torture them for a while before growing bored of them and eating them. Oddly enough, this cat grew to love one little mouse. It was downright strange, really. He didn't even know the true meaning of the word love until he looked at your smile and your face in a more positive and beautiful light. That's what love was, correct? Loving someone for simply themselves, simply the pure heart and soul and shining entity, something that proves we are much more than physical beings. Slenderman thought deeply. He himself had never really felt the feeling of being on a tightrope, walking above the world on a very thin line, yet they still scream and yell and jest at you. However, it's only when you lose balance and fall to the ground with a splat do they care. To him, the tightrope was invisible. He would never have guessed he'd actually do it. To actually have the self-loathing and hatred to actually do it. The audacity! He had been alone for so many cold years, yet when you're alone for the blink of an eyelid you cannot cope? It angered him beyond belief. If he looked at least a little human, he would have marched straight up to the funeral and properly met your family, for the first and possibly last time. He did want to meet them before that, but there was a slight problem of him having no face. He remembered too. He remembered all the time you came to him, asking various questions, most about your appearance, which annoyed him as he didn't really care what you looked like. There was the weight one, usually one of, am I fat? He always shook his head no. He didn't really see you as that, to be honest. He never really cared for it. As long as you were somewhat healthy and still able to hug, then he was happy. He loved your mind, your heart, not something that can be seen with the eyes he didn't even have. He didn't need to actually look at you to be able to hear the pure, untainted poetry that flowed from your lips. One fond memory that stuck with him was the one where you and him read together. Oh, how you loved books so. He remembered he used to call you such a bookworm. You smiled charmingly and laughed, then joked that he was too. He would always answer with, maybe us two bookworms should stick together. The world was always hard for a person who reads books, as they know there can be something better. So it was best for a dreamer like you to cling to him. He wasn't really a dreamer, though. His books were mostly of the dark nature. Yours were too sometimes. Perhaps dreaming of a darker paradise? He wondered who he'd read with now. He sighed. He felt irritated, guilty, empty. Oh, so many emotions he felt at the current moment. The main one was probably surprise, closely followed by anger. He did feel regret too, though. He pressed his back against the tree. I think she's depressed. Why? Well, he could have stopped it. He put a hand on his chest as he listened to the fading echoes of the doctors and people yelling out cries of, "Her issue is getting worse. She needs medical help. She needs support. She seems more negative and unhappy, you know. Maybe you should seek advice." But he had his chance. "Please, she's sick. Mentally, she's unstable." He would turn to Namine. "Don't be foolish. She's completely fine. Isn't that right, Namine?" "Yeah. Yeah, I'm fine." But he blew it. He blew his only chance of helping her.